Alright, so on today's episode of What the Hell is Going On in Godot and MPF, we take a look at all the different little things that maybe don't make sense to everybody, especially people that don't code very often. There's a lot of things on here. If you've coded before, it makes sense. But if you've never coded, it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to try to explain some of these differences for people to hopefully help get a head start or help learn a couple things. I'm going to start out in this config file, just because this is kind of the main file over here. I've got my cursor on the screen. You should be able to see it over here on the left bottom side. Your config folder, this is the MPF folder structure. So your config contains, could contain one file, it could contain multiple files. So I say that, this is the first thing to explain, is that all of these files right here, the coils, the config, the images, the lights, the sounds, the switches, variables, videos, I could define everything that's in these 9 files, or 8 files, I can't count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 files. I could put them all in this config file and it would work the same. MPF doesn't care if it's in 8 files or if it's in 1 file. The reason why you do it in multiple files is because it helps make the coding easier. So like my coils are all in the coil folder. So if I want to change something on a coil, I don't have to go to the config file and scroll through everything on here just to find the coils. Same thing with lights. If you look at how many lights I have on here. And this is a small amount of lights compared to what will be on the finished game. So you don't want to have to scroll through multiple lines of code to edit one thing if you can break them up. So the only file that you have to have, and it has to be named config, is config.yaml. And within that, you set your files right here in this config section, and you tell it which files you have to look at. So you have lights, coils, switches, sounds, images, and videos. Variables I don't have on there because I don't really use it. But you could if you wanted to, and you would add it. So that's how the game knows, that's how MPF knows that it has to look at these other files. To kind of look at the structure, the one thing you need to know is that this top line up here, you should always have this top line that has the hashtag config_version equals 6 if you're on MPF 0.80. If you're on 0.57, I believe it's that equals 5. It may be 0.6, that's 5, and 0.57 is 6. I can't remember, but I'm on 0.80, so I use the equals 6. This file has to be at the top. Every other section in this does not have to be in any certain order. You can put it in any order that you want to. So like this fast section, if I hide that, I'm actually going to hide a lot of these. Maybe I won't, because it's just going to make it harder. Anyways, so you have your fast section. So this is me defining my hardware. The audio board, this is the code for the audio board. It has to be nested, meaning it has to be in that fast section for it to work. Same thing with the net, which tells it that I'm using a neuron, and then from there you have the IO loop, which then you keep spacing. So I think the second thing to talk about is the spacing. Second thing was that you can have any of these sections wherever you want, unless it's a section that's required to be within a section. So audio is for the fast board, has to be nested within that fast section. Then to talk about spacing, Python, YAML, however you want to call it, uses these spaces to go line to line. So it knows that this top section, fast, that's the section that it's reading. And within that section, you have your audio, which is 2 spaces. So you could use 4, but then you would have to use 4 on everything else. So 2 is the best way to do it. So you have to do 2 spaces and then audio section. And then for anything under that audio section, you do 2 more spaces, and then all these fall in line because they're all under that audio section. Same thing down here with net. It's space 2, and then space 2 more for everything other than net. The cab goes here. I'm actually going to delete this because I don't need this. And it'll help me show some of this a little bit better. So your I/O loop falls within this. If you were using this LED section, which I will at some point, maybe, if I use the Neuron ones and the breakout boards. Falls within that. And then, yeah. So, Godot, you don't use this window section anymore. You don't need it. So I'm just going to take that out. Same thing with displays. It's all handled within Godot. Slides and slide player, you don't need any more in this because it's all handled within Godot. I'm doing some cleanup right now, but maybe it'll help explain some stuff. So for my hardware, all of my hardware is put in under this. You have your net, my audio board, my net, which is my controller, and then my expansion boards, which is the LED boards and stuff for the fast system. So I only have one right now. You can have more, and then there would be a model, and then it would have a different name here. So instead of playfield, it might be playfield 1 and playfield 2. I'm not going to get into specifics of this because there's sections on the fast documentation that explains it. But just to explain that from fast, so if I close this, everything that's nested under that is now closed. If I open this, you can see it's audio section and all the code under it, net section and all the code under it, and then expansion or EXP and all the code under it. If I go up to here to that top nested section, I can close all that, and the next section is the game config files. Here, this is where it's listing out. You see how I have 2 here? It's your main section, your config. If I close that, it'll close those. And this has all those folders or YAML files within the config file over here. Your playfield, I'm not going to explain the specifics because there's sections on here, but basically you're defining what your playfield is and what the default source is. So here your default source is, on mine, the plunger. This is one section, so you can see me closing that out. You can see it starts here on no spaces, and then 2 spaces, and then 4 spaces, so it knows which lines to step through. Machine, same thing, except this one I have 4 spaces. I don't need 4 spaces, I can do 2. You could use 4, it doesn't matter, but everything under that machine section, if I used 4 on the first one, would have to have 4, or it wouldn't know how to read it. Same thing here. You can use 2, you can use 4, but then all of them have to be like that. Like if I left it like this, it wouldn't work because this line is not an extension of balls per game. I guess the next thing to talk about would be somebody had a question, and it's a valid question, is why do people use the underscores? Those underscores are because you cannot use the space. You could technically use a dash, I believe. Most people use underscores. I've always used underscores. So when Python reads this, it reads this line. It stops at this colon, which indicates that that's the end of that line. Then it goes here for this field that has a variable or an int that it's looking for. So in those balls installed, that's the end of the section, that line. And it's setting that 3 balls need to be, or that's the command name, I guess is a better way to put it. And then you would have 3 there to indicate that the game would save that your game should have 3 balls installed. And then for your game, you have 3 balls per game and max players of 4. You can change this. You can have up to, I don't know how many you can have up to. I know on League at one point I did 10 and it somewhat worked. There was some code that needed to be adjusted. But 4 is the standard, but like Beavis and Butthead, I have only 2 because it's like you're playing as Beavis or Butthead. The modes section. This is so your modes folder. You have all these modes in those. So your modes for MPF to know how to read what mode you have, like my attract. I have an attract mode here. I have to add this under modes so it knows how to read, and to do multiple inputs into this. You could do modes and then do like base, attract, champ, select. But the better, easier way to do it is to put the semicolon to indicate the end of the line, enter down, space twice, dash, space, and then the name of your modes that you want to include. Like this one's a mode I have, the highest score, but I don't use that one. So right now it's commanded out, so it's not reading that. So it's not including it. I'll add it in at some point, but as of right now, I'm still working on other stuff. So this is what pulls all your modes in. To start out, the best way to start is just to have an attract and a base mode. Maybe we'll jump to attract and base here in a minute, and I'll just kind of show you those and go over a couple simple things to explain. I won't get into like detailed stuff, but this is kind of just going over some of the stuff that might be straightforward to people that have coded, but not to others. I'm not going to go into detail, but every section here you can tell, like magnets. I have my top section. I have a name of the magnet is magnet, and then there's a list of variables that you define for that magnet, and that's these. And all these things are listed on MPF that you can find. Same thing with flippers. This one I have spaced 4 for some reason. It must be because I copied it from something and I just didn't edit it. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you use 2 or 4 spacing, but it's easier if you just do the 2. So like that, these are all, I could just delete those because I won't use those. So this is one section. Now that I did 2 on that one, now I got to do it on all of them. Probably should have just kept it, but just to show. Talk because I'm trying to pay attention to what I'm doing. Anyways, just to show so that you have the 2. If I can close out all my flipper section, I can close one flipper at a time. And then I can also take and put no space in between these. But then if I open them, there's still a space in between. Just to clean it up. You want to try to keep your code as clean as possible. I'm guilty of mine not being 100% clean. Like I said, you can put these sections at any place that you want. You don't have to follow. There's no guideline on where these sections have to be within this file. You can put them wherever it'll read it. The only thing that matters is that your sections within your section have to be nested within that, so they can't be anywhere. They have to follow, like playfields has to follow the name of the playfield, and default this settings have to be attached to that. If anybody has questions beyond that, please reach out, and I can explain further. I'm going to play the game real quick. The sound might get loud, but just to show kind of. So I'm using keyboard right now to do some of this. I have things set up. What is that? I think.
As a way to make us secure.
Never mind.
Just to kind of show this change.
This.
So that'll start the game. There's stuff within it. My scoring little pop-ups on the side over here. If you look right here, this shows some of the things that have pop-up as you score, and that's a widget that disappears. I'll show the base screen now, just to show kind of how this is set up, the 2D, just to explain a little bit of that. If there's anything else you have questions about on here, just let me know in the comments on YouTube, and I'll answer on there, just so that it's kept in one spot and people can find it. So to go to base mode, this is my code for the base mode, and it's basically your mode section. Another thing here where I have spaces in 4 that really I should have used 2. Does not matter, 2 to 4. 6, you could do either, as long as they're all the same within that section. It doesn't matter. You can't just do 1, it has to be at least 2, so it knows that it's the next line. Just to show kind of here your mode, every mode for the most part, except for like a high score, doesn't necessarily have this part the same, but it does, but it's a little bit different. But basically have a mode section at the very top. You don't have to put it at the top. You can put it anywhere within the mode, but for me, I like to start at the beginning of what I need for the mode and then go down. That's how I try to approach each of my file setups for each thing. So base mode, my start event is start base. Mine, you could have a track mode ended. You could have ball started. Mine uses a custom event because of my character selection. If you're on ball 1 and you have not selected your character yet, it plays the character selection. If you've already selected your character, then on like ball 2, it'll just automatically go to base mode. So I have a little mode called ball 1 champ select that skips all that. And if anybody wants my code, I have no problem sharing it. It's not perfect, but at least get people a little ways. Your stop events would be game ended, because you want your base mode to stop once the game ends. You could stop it at the ball end and ball started, and stop it and start it every time. That part doesn't really matter for base. The way I try to approach it is for each ball I have base running, and then I have modes on top of that handle most of the other stuff. Just to explain a couple things, my shots. So I needed a way to play videos when a certain shot was hit. So what I did is I set up shots when it sees a switch being hit. So once that shot is completed, it comes here. And I have a video mode built into this. Let me see over here. right here, this under scene, this video shot here, it has shots. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. It has shots set up here and random videos. So this is a conditional children, which is like a random event player. So if it sees this shot, it randomly plays one of the videos for these. You've got your Godot settings over here, random, no repeat. So it'll play each of these videos without repeating. This is a different shot and has this many videos that randomly play when you hit those shots. And then for those shots, let me get back to it, base. I have counters. Let me see how I did that. Maybe I don't have that coded in this one. It's in my other code file, but I have counters in the other one that count how many times that shot has been hit. So like on certain shots, it's easy. You have to hit it 5 times before a video plays. Some of them you hit once, it plays. Some of them you hit 3 times, it plays. So I have a counter, and once that counter is completed, it plays that shot. I'm trying to go here. Show player. So I have a show that grabs the magnet. Or sorry, plays a video. Or this is for my light show. And then I think I have a magnet in here. Maybe. Let me see. Maybe I don't have the magnet right here. Oh no, right here. So I have an event for my magnet that magnetizes it. Once my VUC, I have a VUC that it magnetizes after the VUC fires because the ball fires into the magnet. I'm just trying to show you that you can have this anywhere. Like this is here, but it's got multiple different sections of code like here, and they don't have to follow each other because they're 2 different sections, even though they follow the same idea. They kind of can be anywhere. My slides for base, so if I open the 2D section, so this is, I'm jumping around a little bit, but like I said, this is more of a high level. If you need specific things, just comment and let me know, and I'll try to cover those things. So this is my base screen. The background is just a video. So it says color rec, but it's because I have a black see-through over it to lower the brightness on the back on the video. The video's here under video player. And then everything else, so like the scores right here, this border, background, whatever you want to call it, is just a picture. So it's a sprite 2D. So let's say if I wanted to add another picture, I can go up here to base, add child node, sprite 2D. So it added it down here. We're going to add it up here. We'll come over here to texture. We'll go to load, images. We'll throw the fast pinball logo in there. So say I wanted to show this, it could be every once in a while, it could be the whole time the game's playing. So that I just added that in. So if I play this now,
this is why.
See, it shows up here on the top left. So I just added that in. depending on the ordering, so like this is on 0, my other ones are on 2. So like right now, if you look at this, if I play a video, it's gonna let me play the game again. Because of that ordering, the Z level, layer level, you know, if you look at Photoshop, like front to back on layers, my GUI on there, my interface is the top, very front. So these right here, the score, these things that'll have the player image and the score, those are all up front. This one is behind that, so if I play a video, it's covering that, but because I have the other ones layered above the video, it doesn't cover those, so those are always live. So if I come here and I go to ordering Z index, I can change that to 2, play it, and if the sound's really loud, I'm sorry. So now if I play the video, it's on top. You know, and if you had like similar images, you could quickly just come here and like duplicate it. And then you could just add multiple images really quick that followed that same, keeps those same ordering and everything that you set up. Trying to think of some other stuff. I guess I could show you my carousel character select. So this is the code for character select. The start event is ball started. Actually, character select is not the right one, sorry. Champ select is the right one. And it's actually start champ select. And like I said earlier, I have another section of code, a mode if you want to call it, but a section of code that start events is ball starting. This one is called ball 1 champ select. Has an event player, so depending on if mode ball 1 champ select started, if current player is selected equals 0, which means that person has not selected a champion, then it's gonna send the event start champ select. That then goes, my champ select looks at that and goes, oh, start champ, my start event is start champ select, so I'm gonna start this. I'll go to 2D on that. Let me get that open. It's under the slides. So let's go to 2D. So this is my champ select over here. It has a carousel with all the different characters. So the Grog one is this one, has Grog highlighted. The Scalen one is this one, it has Scalen. Keyleth is this one. Vax is this one. This is just an image that has everything black and white except the character that it is. Percy over here to the left. Pike, which I spelled her name wrong and I need to fix that. And then Vex on the right. So these are all set up on my code that when champ select is playing, depending on which champion you have highlighted, and I have some custom Python code that I'm not going to show here that I don't mind sharing, but basically these champions or characters are all listed in that depending on which one's highlighted. So here's my slide player. The slide is, say Percy is this one, so that slide right there that I just showed you, this one, so Percy's highlighted. So that slide player, when he's highlighted, it's going to tell it to look at the Percy slide. So Godot has the slide. You build your slides within Godot. The only thing you have to code in MPF is to show that slide when that character's highlighted. So this is your command that, or your event that it's looking for. Once it sees that event, and it sends the event Percy, which then shows that slide. Right here under mode settings, you select item events would be, so I have a launch button. You would basically either launch the ball or hit launch active. To change to the right or next item, it's the right flipper. change to the previous left flipper. That's pretty common. This is pretty much what you would use for mode settings. If you're not using the custom Python code like I have here, the selectable items, then you would have your characters listed here. So like I'd have Percy, Pike, Grog, etc. But I don't need that because I'm using that custom Python code that has them listed. Custom Python code just works that if the first player selects Percy, then no other players can select that. So once that's highlighted, so Percy's highlighted, it shows that slide, and then I also have, just disregard this for now, a sound player. So when Percy's highlighted, and it sees that item highlighted, item equal Percy, so that once that event is seen, that item is highlighted and Percy's the one that's highlighted, it plays the song or sound that's called Percy Select. And it basically will replace whatever voice is playing. If there's nothing playing, it just plays. But I have audios set up that basically, it's like a random bit of audio down here. So you see this voice, Percy Select. You can actually set up one of these over here. If you go up to like voice, right click, create new, I think it's resource. And then it's MPF stream randomizer here. So this one right here. You can create that, name it, and then you can select a bunch of random sounds for it to play. You can select the playback mode, select random, just random. It'll play whichever one it decides to play. Sequential will go in order, or random avoid repeats will play everything randomly but not repeat one. So like I have 4 sounds here. I think I can play it.
Must I remind you, we gave our word to the council. That should probably mean something. This is why I hate traveling with holy people. They're too goddamn good.
You know, so these are the 4 different sounds that it'll play. You notice here that I have this space 2 and then this space 4. Godot MPF still knows how to read this because these are all the same. If this one was 2 and this one was 4, it would not work. It would give an error. But because I have them both the same under this nested piece, it knows how to read it. It just goes from this line to this line to these lines. Just to show this all together, we'll hit play. So this is the attract mode starting. It starts every time your game starts up, so attract is kind of like this automatic thing that starts. I hit the start button. Once you hit the start button, the game automatically knows that it has a tag start. Once you hit that, the game starts. As long as you meet the criteria of free play and your balls, the minimum installed balls is equal to whatever it is. Here I have something set up so that it doesn't look for balls, and there's ways to work around that, which we can cover in another video. But basically, so if I change to Pike, now it's seeing item highlighted as Pike, so it plays her sound. Now it's seeing item highlighted as Grog, so it plays his song. Scanlan is highlighted, so it plays his song. Now if I go back to Percy,
Count me in as well. Must I remind you, we gave our word to the...
It's random every time.
This is why I hate traveling.
Plays it. You hit enter or the launch button, and then it would start the game. So that kind of just followed through. There's some other stuff I have here, like variable player, so that I can track which champion is selected for the player. Each time you select your player, it sets a variable. And then it also is champ selected, so like my ball 1 champ select, it sets this to 1 so that it knows that you've selected your champ, and it won't, on your second turn, it won't do the character select. And I think under config, I think I have some player set variables. Yeah, so right here, this player vars is selected champ 0 initial value. So every time the game starts, it's going to select that is selected champ. It's going to set it to 0, so that every single time the game started, for ball 1, it'll throw that the champ or character is not selected, so it plays that first mode. Trying to think. I guess let's go to attract mode, since we kind of skipped that and we saw that. So attract mode, like I said, the top line always has to be there. The second line you don't have to have. That's just so you can indicate to yourself what file. This little hashtag, just in case people don't know, this is probably a good one. This comments lines out so that these are not looked at. So like right now, light player is seen as part of this code. If I put that now, Python skips that. It says, oh, I don't need to read that because it's commented out. Yeah, so you'll notice here there's no mode section. That's because this is a, we'll call it a required mode. Attract always runs first. It always is what starts. So you don't have to have code here. It's all coded in the back end. But here, basically, I have my show player, which is my lights on my game for the attract mode. So we'll go over here to you see my file folder structure here. We'll go to modes, and we'll go to attract. You go to my show, attract lights. This is a light show that plays for that, and that's what tells each light to light up with timing. This is done with show creator that I believe is Mark and City, who did Nightmare Before Christmas, which is a really super cool dude and also a really awesome game. He created the show creator, which you basically input a monitor file which has all of your inserts set up. You have to manually set that up. Maybe I'll do another video on that at some point. But basically you can input that file into show creator, and then you can create light shows with it, and it'll output this code without having to do it all. It's a lot less manual. There is some manual to it, but it's not manual coding, it's manual setup with some different movement of some different shapes and colors, and then it spits out and tells it to do what colors. So now we'll go back to attract mode, slide player. So when mode attract started, so anytime you're starting a mode or using an event that's a mode, like mode attract, the attract mode started, your syntax for that would be mode. You always have to have that, the name of the mode, attract, base, ball 1, champ select, and then you can use started, stopped. This can be all found on the MPF website, but basically, so once attract starts and it plays this event, mode attract started, it'll look for the slide attract, which if we go to my slides over here, I have attract there. Oops, I started it somehow. Oh no, it's because, hold on, it's because I have preview on, and I don't know if I know how to turn this thing off, to be honest. Anyways, this is my attract mode setup, the slide. This is the video that plays. I do it all in CapCut and just put a single video in here. You could set it up in Godot to run through videos one after another and everything. I do use CapCut just because it's easier for me. Anyways, we're not going to get into that right now. I don't think I need to save that. So to come back here to the code, we'll go to script, attract. So that would play that slide. The target is my main screen. So because I have two screens in my game, I have to tell it what screen to go to. So by default, if I did not put a target, it would go to the main screen. But because I wanted to go to two different screens, I put target main screen for the main attract, and attract mini would go to the mini screen. I'll show you the attract mini. This is the bottom screen, so there's no audio to that, but it plays within my small screen. This is made in CapCut and then put in here. But that press start is just a text. CapCut, what I may do after is put this in the CapCut and actually add an animated text there just to add a little bit more to it. Anyways, these are pretty simple right now. When mode attract is stopping, so when it sends the event for attract to stop, for it to be stopping, I actually remove that attract thing. Video, and it starts the base mode. I don't know that that is needed. I need to test that. I think I had that in there for a reason when I was having some problems, but I think I can actually take that out. And this high score start is that little high score section. If I open that, so this is another slide that I put on top of the screen, so it just shows it there, and you can change some of this wherever you want. You can move it all around. And there is a way to preview it so it's live. I can't remember right now how to do it. I'll have to look that up after. Going back to the script to attract the event player when so I play these as like widgets almost on top of the slides, but I have it just layered. I have them at a different Z level. So event player, when a mode attract starts, it tells high score to start and tells think start to start. Oh no, that's what this one is for it to start. It keeps looping the different little extra slides I have. That's something that I need to work on, so I want to pay attention to that. I think that's pretty much it to go over right now. Anything else would be almost probably too detailed. I would, if you watch this and you have additional questions based on what I covered or tried to cover, and hopefully I didn't butcher it too bad. If you have specific questions for it, feel free to comment, and I'll make a list of things that people have questions on, and then maybe I'll make a follow-up video to hit those, and then maybe we can expand on. I'm going to be coding here over this next month more than I have been, so I'll try to do a video as I'm coding. Maybe I'll just stream me doing my code. It probably won't be pretty because I'll probably have to start, stop, mess with stuff. I'm not the greatest coder in the world, so sometimes I just have to play with things until I figure it out. I've gotten better after so many games I've done. Godot does make it a little bit easier, so like a lot of these things, like these video modes that I have for each of the shots, it took me maybe an hour to create the first one, but then it only took me 5 minutes to probably create every single other one after that, because it was just copy paste and then change the video file and the shot name. So once you get one thing done, it does make things a lot more simple. But yeah, let me know what other things you'd like to see, and I'll try to keep making videos on it. Also, before I finish, stop making excuses. Just get it done. Learn it. You're going to mess up. It's okay. Keep going. You got this.